Executives or CEOs especially are infamous for saying things they're going to do and then never do them. I think what Trevor helped me accomplish when he came on was to keep my promises.
I think an EA provides a tremendous amount of value on the energy management side of things for you as well. For a long time, I asked myself of this EA thing, is this just a stop on the way, or is this something that I'm building somewhat of a career with? And quite honestly, I turned it down for a long time thinking that it was just a stop on the way.
You have an inside track to my brain, and we as CEOs, we are looking at stuff at the highest levels, and before we're even ready to share them with partners, executives at that time. Again, Micah, you talked about being 5 years out. I'm trying to be 5 years out. That takes a lot of, hey, what if we drag this guy over to here? And some of those, they just can't be released yet because I just don't know if they're real. Micah could go cause a disaster in the company. I mean, just one mention could cause a train wreck.
When Ryan is the giant standing above the trees looking beyond where we're going, that's important. But if he doesn't have somebody looking beneath the trees, making sure we're not going to step over a cliff, then we can have a problem.
Welcome back to The Forge. Excited this morning to talk to our listeners, our guests, about how an EA transformed my productivity over the past 7 or 8 years. So I'm just really excited to be here this morning with my two guests here. And my two guests are my executive assistant currently, which is Micah, and my past EA, which was Trevor Klotz. So Micah Hershberger, Trevor Klotz, welcome to The Forge.
Yeah,
how you all doing this morning?
Doing really well. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Very good. Thanks for having us.
It's good to be here. So I get this question all the time. The question is, man, how does it work to have an EA, executive assistant? How do you handle that? How does that work? And why did you choose to do that? And so I thought this morning it'd be really neat to just dive into this. And I think there's a lot of business owners, CEOs that are overwhelmed. They're struggling. They can't get it all done. And they want help. They don't know how to ask for help. They don't know how to delegate. They don't know how to do all that stuff. And so what an EA has done for me is just absolutely transformational. It is. And it started with you, Trevor. And so I want to dive into that this morning a little bit. And they ask, CEOs ask me, why do you need one? I think the answer to that is, well, do you want to duplicate or double or multiply your time, or do you not? And it comes down to that. And I was a little going back to where we started here. Before I had one, I pushed back on it. I pushed back on this whole idea, and I had mentors of mine, pushing me towards that, but I fought back on that. And but man, I don't know that I would ever go back to where we were at before that. So I want to introduce Micah and Trevor here to you guys a little bit, to our listeners, and. Trevor's currently chief of staff. We'll talk about that at the end of the show here. But Micah's currently my assistant. And so let's go back 7 years ago. So here I was struggling. We were overwhelmed in business. Things were moving fast. They were growing, and I wasn't able to get everything done. And I was having lunch with Micah's boss, right? Your boss, yeah. Len, your ex-boss, Len. And so he's one of the mentors that really challenged me. He said, man, Ryan, it's time for an EA. You need to do this. And I said, man, I just don't know if I want to do it this way. I don't know if I'm ready for that commitment. And I had several people telling me the same thing. So I finally bit. And really what happened was I woke up, well, let me go back here. I was thinking about who this magical person would be that would actually, complement my traits, who would be opposite of me, whatever. And I just had no ideas. I didn't want to put an ad. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make sure that it was a person that complimented me, and that we wouldn't, be doing this all day. Because it's talk about this a little bit later, because it's a marriage, right? So it's almost a marriage of because you're together a lot. And so I feel like God just gave me the name Trevor in my head one morning, and I had known Trevor. Trevor grew up. So we built our house in 2009. Trevor, you would have been how old?
I would have been probably 10 at the time.
10 years old.
Yep.
Trevor was a 10-year-old neighbor kid, and lived next door, and didn't know you or your family that terribly well. But over the years, we've interacted here and there. When Trevor came out of high school, talk about that a bit. So you you graduated high school. Then what happened after that?
Yeah, so after high school, I went on to Ivy Tech Community College here just for business administration. And while I was doing that, I was working in Napanee as my actual title, I think, was I worked for Napanee Redevelopment, which is just a small town redevelopment commission, doing kind of office admin type stuff. And ironically, you were also involved with that. I kind of always joke that you've kind of assisted in every single job that I've ever got.
Did you also work in my in-laws' trust shop as well?
Yes, I did that too. Yeah,
Trevor, you're welcome. Okay.
Thank you very much. So yes, while I was doing that, you served on the board as a part of the Napanee Chamber there. So I was doing that, going to college, doing my associate degree for business administration, and then once I got that done, I needed something full time. So I was just about ready to start my search of, hey, what do I actually want to do? Yeah. And then I think I don't know if you texted me, got an email, something. Yeah. And here we are.
It was weird because I mean, it was just crystal clear. I knew in a moment that you were the guy and that you would say yes. I mean, it was just that clear. It was going to work out. I think I felt a little bit guilty. I think I was the president of the chamber at that time. And so I felt like I was pulling you away from the job that we'd helped you get there and all that, and made it pretty. And I think Jeff Kitson at the time was really open to the fact that no, I can't keep Trevor full time. We can't afford him on staff all the time, so he needs a full time role. So we had to figure this all out. So I think what happened there is I was a little bit nervous about bringing Trevor on. I was like, man, I don't know how to have an EA. So again, my friend Len, who's the CEO of a local company here, Micah was currently the EA for Len. And so I had asked the two of you guys to hook up. And so tell me about that a little bit, Micah. So I or Trevor call you about 7 years ago and say, hey, could you coach Trevor a bit on this role that he's going to take on for me? Talk about that a bit.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. Like even in that lunch that we had with you when you were talking with Len, I remember thinking back of, man, I don't know if Ryan really buys the vision on the EA or not. And so like to then follow forward, I don't remember if it was Ryan or Trevor, somebody had reached out saying, hey, we'd like to connect. And kind of the genesis of that was let's meet up. It was kind of not really an interview style, but also really just more of a I don't know that I was more than a year or so into doing the role.
Oh, really? Was that fresh for you?
So I was probably maybe a year and a half into the role with Len at that point. And so kind of it was kind of the blind leading the blind to some degree, but
it didn't feel like that.
Yeah. But it was more than anything of just a little bit of some peer networking type of thing. And a lot of it was just, I'm a big believer in like when you're going to interview somebody, you're a big proponent should be, how is this person going to benefit the people that they're around, and how are they going to provide value to the people that they're around? And it was pretty clear early on that in just talking with Trevor for a little bit, and we were talking about life, we were talking about what the role can look like, that there was a hunger. I mean, he was young. I wasn't much older necessarily. I feel like we're still young, but it was this sweet balance of the tenacity to go after the big thing, but also seemed to have his things down. He was taking notes, lots of awareness for things. So all the good signs you would think of for somebody who's taking care of somebody else.
It's good. So to this day, I kind of razz each of you. I was like, man, who's the better EA? And so, man, Mike is really a lot better than Trevor is at this, and we have fun with that. But the joke today is that Micah does a better job with my email than Trevor ever did, and
100%.
He came with some. It's not that big of a deal, but we'll talk about that a bit later. But managing my email, Trevor and I never really quite figured that out, and maybe I wasn't enough of a. Maybe I didn't let go enough for Trevor, honestly. Micah came in and said, this is how we're doing it. And I don't know how that was. But I want to make it very, very clear that PWI as a company and me personally in my career, we would not be where we're at today without the two of you. I mean, period. No question about it. I was able to get so much more done and build built a great company over the last 7 years, and all glory to God for that. But because of the multiplication of time that I had, and me not diving into all those details, chasing all those squirrels. So this is how we got started. So let's talk about how we got here, and I want to talk about maybe the first 90 days here a bit. Maybe one thing first is I want to talk a little bit about why I chose a male EA rather than some gorgeous woman, right? So I'm this is being very authentic here, very raw here, but I'm very sensitive to that. I want to make sure that I could live above reproach and not have anybody questioning my morals or my ethics. And there's just so many stories of things like that going south, and I knew that we would spend a lot of time together. So I had crossed off, and honestly, a lot of my friends, most EAs are females. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's 90%, but it's high. It's very, very high.
Very high.
If you look at the books and the podcasts written by talking about EA stuff, it's almost always women, and stuff on LinkedIn a lot about that. And so why did I choose that? Well, I remember I go back to a men's conference I was at with Steve Farrar. Steve Farrar's passed away, speaker, author, incredible mentor of mine. I've got to meet Steve a number of times, but Steve was just an incredible leader, man of God. He always made the joke, and he had an EA, but he said, this is a slam, right? He said, but I want to challenge you guys. If you ever have an assistant or you have a secretary working in your office, find the most humble looking, I think he even said the word ugly, assistant or EA or secretary you possibly can, because you just do not want to fall into prey of being tempted with something that's that leads you down a path you don't want to go. And even people questioning, they're a little tight, they're a little close. What is up with that? And so obviously I've been married to my wife Jeanette for 24 years, and so I want to do nothing to jeopardize that relationship or have even people look at it, and even for the EA, So this is nothing against. There's probably a lot of men out there that are stronger than me, and if you have a female assistant, totally fine. I'm not judging you at all, but I would just recommend. I'm just going to talk straight here. If you are looking for an executive assistant, I would get a dude who can be with you all the time, drive with you, go grab a hotel. So, think about that. I mean, we can check into a hotel, each get rooms, and there's nothing weird going on ever, right? It always works. So I just. Obviously, morals, ethics are a really big deal to me, and even the appearance of that is important to me. So that's why I chose Trevor, and I would never do it differently. It's not worth it. So, man, those first 90 days. Let's tell that story, Trevor. So, let's go back to 2018, the year before you started. I was rebuilding my office. We were doing renovations as we have been for the past decade every year. But I built a new office for myself, and I built in this desk. My office is big enough for 2 desks, and there's just a small desk for an assistant that I built there, because this has been brewing in my head, before this time. And I thought to myself, well, this assistant can be, he could sit there a few hours of the day helping me with some stuff, and then go back to his own office. And so I always, when I give tours of our facility and our office, I always walk people in my offices and talk about that. So what happened was Trevor came to work, and the office next door. My entire plan had been, Trevor gets an office next door, and maybe we'll put a little cute window in there or something that will slide open. I wasn't sure. So I think I can't remember who was in that office, but somebody was in that office. It wasn't available for you, but we had to do some other shifting in office space, and so I was waiting for 90 days. I said, Trevor, by Labor Day or whatever that was, we'll have you in that office. And so we go through the 90 days, and Trevor's sitting there in my office the entire time, and I was kind of like, man, this is going to drive me nuts, and this is kind of annoying. I can't even, I just want to be alone. And I think that is important for an assist or for a CEO to be alone at times and have some brain space. But after 90 days, we looked at each other and we said, this is never going to work. I think Trevor looked at me and said, this is never going to work if I'm not in your office all the time. Right. Talk about that for a minute, Trevor.
Yeah, definitely was not even my thought going into it that's how it was necessarily going to end up. But yeah, it became very apparent very quickly that every phone call that you have, I automatically know what you're going to tell me. You don't have to repeat it. Yeah. You can just think out loud and say, hey, we need to write this email to this person. Start writing it this way with these 3 bullet points. Whatever it is, like, it's just done. Yeah. You don't have to text me. You don't have to call me. You don't have to go over the next door office. If you didn't put the little window in, then you have to walk out the door into the next door. Like, all the little things like that, just, I don't see how there would be any other way. Yeah. Now, maybe someone else who has a different working style than you or whatever, maybe it makes sense. But there was a lot of value that I think would have been a waste if we would not have started out that way. So we wouldn't have known. 100%. I mean, if that office was available right off the bat, then
we'd probably still be doing this wrong today, right?
Could be, yeah.
Well, I think that. Sorry, go ahead, Micah.
Yeah, no, and I would even jump in of when I was with Len was I think the same principles applied. Of I think that there's a lot of the work that happens with the close proximity that you share with one another, and I like the funny story behind it all is that the entire time that I was at the company with Len, I never had an office. So like our philosophy was we were 30 miles a day in the vehicle, just driving around to different buildings and everything. But that entire time, not the entire time, we would split occasionally to do different things and kind of multiply the work. But we would be right next to each other. And so I do think that there's an incredible amount of work that gets done with that proximity. Yeah. You can't you can't just jot down a note to then give to somebody to then help them push it to the you've wasted a lot of your time as a leader.
It's exactly what I was going to say.
Very true.
It's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say we always describe it like by the time. So picture I'm on a phone call. Trevor's not sitting there, or Micah's not sitting there, and I'm on a phone call, and I'm looking for my calendar. I'm grabbing my phone, and I'm terrible with my calendar. I have no clue what's going on tomorrow, and I'm scrolling through there, and by the time I would say, look, we'll get back to you on that date on that. And we'll send you an email about that, or I'll forward that PDF to you this afternoon. By the time you stand up from your office, walk across to the next office over, tell Micah what he should be doing about that, and he's like, "Who were you on the phone with?" There's so much translation lost there. Bob, who? He wants which PDF, and when Trevor was over there just working on his desk, he was overhearing everything. He was finding the PDF that I was referring to while I was on the phone call. Mm-hmm. He had the draft started before my phone call hung up because he knew exactly. You can just. By the way, he scheduled the phone call that I'm on, so he knew who I was with and talking to. And so you're right that so much is lost in translation without being in close proximity together. Mm-hmm. And so like we always said, like it felt almost pathetic to even why even give the work to the EA in the time to walk over there and explain it all. I probably could have just done it myself. That's so the time savings is like it's like all or nothing. I would make it very, very clear. Like if you're gonna do this, go all in, and trust me, you get used to having a dude sitting in your office or riding in the car with you. You just get used to it. So Mark, is the silence after 2 months isn't even awkward. Like we're just both working. Mm-hmm. It was awkward for 2 months, 3 months. I was already used to it with you, Mike. It didn't even affect me at all. I was like, let's go.
It's probably more awkward for Micah because you didn't have an office.
Yeah. Well put.
What are we doing here?
So I'm not. There's no steering wheel here.
Yeah.
So his old boss, Len, crazy wild man, Len, a good friend of mine. But he, I don't believe he ever had an office really either. No. He moved around. He was a gypsy. Moved around from place to place. I think you guys had like 7 plants. Yeah. And so moved around different places. Hopped into a conference room for a little while, did this or that or the other, had a meeting, kept moving, and there's probably some things I could learn from that, But I do feel necessary, like it's good to be in my office and get the work done, send off those emails, help the team out, support with. So I'm a bit different mindset than Len on that, but that's totally fine. So let's jump into what the heck does an EA do? I mean, what do you guys do, and what are the main functions? Let's maybe just tag team here a bit. What would you say, Mike? I'll go to you first on this one here. Micah, what is the number one function that you think an EA is doing? What is your thought there?
Sure. I would say fundamentally, I always need to come back to the idea of what allows Ryan as the executive that I'm working with, what allows him the clearest path to get to the most important things in the business. And so when Ryan is the giant standing above the trees, looking beyond where we're going, that's important. But if he doesn't have somebody looking beneath the trees, making sure we're not going to step over a cliff, then we can have a problem. And so I think fundamentally, I come back to what are ways that I can bring some things pushed a little bit further to the finish line or cross them off so that Ryan doesn't even need to take the energy or the time to be able to work on those. And sometimes there are things that there's some overlap of, hey, I'm gonna do this portion, you're gonna do this portion, but also there is a multiplication effect that can happen of, we get twice as much done. Whether that's giving you the freshly sorted through set of emails that those are the only ones you need to worry about. Taking care of things that I know that I can take care of that you don't even have to give mind calories to.
Sure.
It's always looking for ways that we can find synergies and push things further along.
Love it. So talk about how you do that. The thing that Trevor and I never really figured out. How are you managing? Excuse me, my emails. How are you doing that?
Sure. It's this fancy system they put in all of them. They call a star or a flag. No, but ultimately what I like to do is I take the macro level of all the emails and the inputs that are coming in and get that down to the ones that are actually providing value for Ryan.
Right on.
And so, obviously there's never an end to the spam folder and the different things that just pop up into an inbox. And it's like, obviously you unsubscribe to things, you get things pushed along, but also on the other side of that, there are some things that pop up that are items that don't really deserve all of Ryan's attention right away. And love you, brother, but a shiny thing can pull your afternoon. And so and
it does sometimes. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and and there's a balance in that of you're looking for the most important things in the business, and sometimes those things will pop up and it can be a surprise that it's that this becomes a big thing. And ultimately, I want to go through and provide you with the clearest path to strike off things, but you can devote the majority of your time towards 5 years down the road, looking around corners, seeing things ahead of the curve is really what it comes down to.
It's good. Very, 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 very well said. I want to go back before we keep moving here. About what an EA does for an executive. Let's go back to the proximity thing. I missed this earlier, but a lot of people are using like Belay or virtual assistant deals. I think Belay is a fantastic company. I love them. I've met them. They're people. They're awesome. But I had literally looked at a Belay assistant, which is a virtual assistant who probably works from Texas or Colorado, whatever, and they probably have 3 CEOs that they're working with, and you get about a third of their time. That's why the price is pretty affordable. So just want to throw that out there. If you're considering that, love Belay, and I think there's things they do, other fractional things they're doing, but for an assistant role, I would really struggle with that. And I think we are very grateful. I've had some friends that have done it for a while. It was okay, and they ended up walking away from it because they weren't there. The proximity thing was a problem in real time for a lot of my friends. So anyhow, just want to throw that out there. Again, no bash on Belay or other people that are doing that, but I believe that having a person in the room with you is super, super, super helpful. So thank you for that, Micah. Yeah.
One more thing I would throw in there as well is even like I would throw out that it's kind of a thorny thing out there is, well, what is AI going to do to that?
Oh yeah.
And ultimately, I would say, yes, an EA's job is affected by AI. And every single job out there is going to be affected by AI. And so ultimately, what are we using to better ourselves? I think EAs have a really great opportunity to be ahead of the curve and getting productivity tools that we can find through that. And how can we lean into that versus saying that, ultimately, I'm my own job security. I have to be able to put forward the value that is created. And so I think leaning in on that would be something I'd really encourage EAs to look into.
Well, I have down here later on in my head, I was going to talk about tech a bit. And so, you brought that up. I just think we're chasing a squirrel here anyhow. We're good at that, chasing squirrels. So let's chase a squirrel a little bit down the path here. So I disagree with that theory that and maybe people are asking that right now. AI, I already have AI. I don't need an EA. AI, EA. So I would argue, I would say that we're both going to get a lot more productive using AI.
Agreed.
Use the tool. So now if Micah is doubling my capacity, my productivity, let's triple it now. Now we have AI. We're both using it. He's just a lot faster at helping me get stuff done. I'm faster at what I'm doing as well. Dude, I still need you. I don't understand. I see no future where I don't need help getting the work done. Somebody still has to do this or do that or send the email and talk through, dialogue through how we're going to handle my calendar. Like, I don't want to talk to AI about that.
Right.
Trevor, what do you think about that?
Even just like take the simple example of meeting minutes. So like everything can be recorded now and recapped, summarized, transcript, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And like even the time that would save you as an assistant going from, 2 hours to, okay, I just took all these notes in the meeting. Now I got to gather my thoughts and put it all in paper. Like it's now 90% there and now you're tweaking it. So instead of spending 2 hours a week doing your leadership meeting minutes, you're now 15 minutes and you're good to go. It's like even the value that now each week, Micah now has an hour and 45 minutes 100%. More to do something that you need him to do. Like that very theory.
Good. I think you just hit number 2 of what I would say an EA is very, very good at, and that's sitting into every meeting, not just executive meetings, which you guys have both done for years, is sit through and take the minutes of that. Now we have AI to help us with that, but so there's 7 people on our executive team, and you guys are number 8 on that team, sitting there. Taking minutes, taking notes, not a whole lot of input in the meetings. We made that very clear when I hired Trevor that, you're not an executive. Your role is to be there and listen and take notes and really serve the needs of the executive team and especially me as your boss. So
participate when asked.
Participate when asked. Very well said. Yeah. So, but that's a really big deal because executives or CEOs especially are infamous for saying things they're going to do and then never do them. And so I think what Trevor helped me accomplish when he came on was to keep my promises. And I love sitting in a meeting without having to mess a lot with my notes in my iPad. I always have it with me. I can do that, but I'd rather just think about what we're talking about. And when it's all said and done, there's a calendar invite set for the next meeting. There's an email draft going out, doing what I promised. There's a follow up with another team member or a vendor or whatever. It's nonstop. So those balls are all moving as we're walking out of the meeting because Micah or Trevor have been sitting there preparing that process as we go. So we hit email sorting, Micah. Thanks for bringing that up. Very, very well done. And honestly, I am in that world today. I am living. Where's my phone at here? I am living in my flagged email inbox here. I live in that. You were off for 2 weeks. Micah just had his second child. Congratulations, man. And Trevor, man, you guys are like tag team here.
Almost.
Yeah. And Trevor's like a week or 2 away from his number 2 as well. So. Man, they're like Siamese twins here. So
I think even our firstborns were like within a month of each other, something like that.
It's crazy. So it's awesome.
Yeah,
it's exciting. Went to see your baby last Thursday night.
Yes,
that was fantastic, man. Yes. So it's great, cute kids. And Trevor's little daughter's adorable as well. So we hit email, we hit meeting management and minute taking and follow up after the meeting. Huge stuff. Trevor, talk about calendar management, because that's the I would say that's close, running for a close second there as far as importance.
Yeah.
And talk about how you helped me with that.
Yeah. So I think one thing that we put together fairly quickly, especially this goes back to the proximity thing, but like, yes, you have your digital Google Calendar or Outlook, whatever it is that you're managing on, but you personally also kind of thrive off of a big, gigantic desk calendar that it just has the month. And
you're calling me old now is what you're doing, man. Yeah.
I never said that.
You don't have the cheaters on you.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
So like just the concept of, starting out the week, just take 10 minutes at the beginning of the day and walk through, okay, what's this week look like? Oh, shoot, that's not going to work. Now I have 3 more things I need to change because XYZ came up. And being able to, I think it's crucial for the EA to be able to just automatically know without looking what's the next couple days look like. Maybe I don't know what the whole month is, but being able to off the cuff be like, oh yeah, this is tomorrow. You just promised that lunch. That's not going to work because you're on vacation that week. Like just knowing the general, what's happening and being able to give that answer quickly, especially when you're in the same office, and being able to say, no, don't promise that while you're on the phone call.
Yeah.
Is key.
Yeah, there's been lots of waving hands. Like,
Do not
go Tuesday. Like,
X-nay.
and I'm like, I'm getting ready to say, oh, because we're infamous for saying, oh, sure, we can probably do that. Lunch tomorrow, that sounds fantastic. You're like, no, man.
Yeah.
Today we leave here and we do a new hire lunch with all the new hires, and so and I'm going to offer a lunch with somebody. I'm like, no, and I honestly don't remember. Like and I think that's intentional. I don't. I actually do not worry about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really big deal when the EA is managing your calendar, the brain space that feels up to not worry about what's happening tomorrow. Like I do not know what my meetings are tomorrow. I have no clue. I can't tell you what they are. And I was hoping
and that's good.
It's
It
good,
is.
right?
You need to be like that. Yeah.
But I think you're onto something there. I think we're very visual as CEOs, and I do live by my calendar. We're on Microsoft now, so we're using Microsoft. We just switched over from Google to Microsoft. Doesn't matter which one you're using, but I do I have the old desk. I've had it for 25 years, 30 years. The old desk pad, we got them for free from vendors over the years,
yeah.
right? But I think we ordered from Staples now. But just a simple desk pad, and usually when I get back to my office from the last meeting, Micah will have kind of the next couple of days figured out for next week or whatever, and I'll have the next week kind of penciled out. It just lets me see in one shot. I feel like all the digital calendars do a terrible job of giving you an actual visual of the whole week so you can legibly read what each thing is. And so I feel like the big things each day are in there. Like, oh yeah, I gotta get ready for that. And he's like, yeah, that's why I have schedules for tomorrow to prepare for that meeting or whatever. By the way, I'm working for a PowerPoint for that deal on Thursday. Okay, got you. Now I can just, we're all good. It's all good. So yeah.
The two other things I'd say on calendar, which you just hit on, is schedule time for prep. Like, don't just schedule your 2:00 meeting.
Yes.
Schedule from 1:30 to 2 for prep leading up to that meeting. So, like, if anything, go a little bit above what you think you might need, because most likely it probably is not even going to happen because you're running 10 minutes late from the other meeting. Yeah. Give yourself the buffer time rather than trying to cut it too close because something's going to get cut. And if at all possible, you don't want that to be prep.
Yeah.
Well, and to some degree, it's like you may look at that and say, well, no, you're just confining my time. But no, you're actually freeing it.
Right.
Like
100%.
you give yourself the boundaries of I can do whatever dreaming I want and cast vision, do all the things. But I know that when I'm approaching that half an hour before, that's reserved time. And so you know your hard stop. But
yeah. And then the other thing I would say about calendar, the last part of that is video conference or video call. There's always the infamous person that doesn't have the mic set up or the camera set up configured as you join a meeting.
100%.
And don't let the CEO or whoever you're being an EA for be that person. So like pulling up the calendar, clicking the link ahead of time, joining in, even though it should all be set as the default, webcam and microphone. Weird things happen, updates happen. Sometimes at really bad times, updates happen. And just prep for that 5 minutes before will save just chaos during the start of a meeting
100%.
too. So
100%. Generally, I'll go use the restroom real quickly or something, or jump out, huddle with somebody really quickly while Mike is setting up, my team's meeting for the next meeting, and I'll come back, jump on, the lights are on, everything's ready to go, and I, it's live, and so it's just more little things, and let's just be honest, I suck at technology. I mean, I use it every day, but I'm just not good at it, and so. And maybe there again, that's okay because I have somebody else that can do it for me and worry about those things. But it never really quite works for me. I think I figured out. I did one Teams call without you while you were gone. I think Trevor helped me with another one, and I was like, yeah, I got this. So, but it's always like the mic. I have multiple speakers, so the mic flips or the speaker flips, and he can't see me, and I don't know. It just feels like it's always something, right? So, and these guys just do it every day. It's not a big deal. So. So, I very grateful for all you guys have done for me on the calendar because I do feel like it's freed up my time, my space, my life. And I want to dive into, before I leave the calendar world, like I don't think there should be guilt around that. I have business partners that are obviously listen to this and my brothers Darren and Kyle, who are my guests often here. I want to be sensitive to the fact that I owe 100% to the company while I'm here. I'm working, and so does my EA's time. But it is fair and good, I believe, for the EA to do some personal work for me as well, meaning in the calendar area. Okay, try to be very conscientious about that. But Micah does my entire calendar, personally, business, everything, and he copies my wife on stuff, because otherwise there's conflicts all the time. There's a dinner event, and so you can't really separate the two worlds. And there's a dinner event there that night, but I have a prayer meeting at my church that night, so I can't do that. So we'll flip it over to this here evening, whatever that is. And so, or I'm promising dinner with one of the executives for dinner, or a out of town person coming in, and my wife thought we were going to do something with her family. Like, you can't separate the two worlds. And so I've stopped trying. And so Micah runs my entire calendar, personal and business, and he copies my wife on those calendar invites. We have a group chat between the three of us where she can drop in, and it sounds pathetic, but she can jump in and put a hey, is Ryan free that night? We're invited to dinner with some friends or whatever. And Micah goes, yeah, that's good, that works. And he's in a meeting right now, but I'll double check that he wants to go do that. And I come out and like, thumbs up. All I gotta do is a thumbs up, and we're good. And I know it works. And it sounds, I want to be careful, because I have a lot of very good friends, and I don't really want. I want to be approachable and accessible by my friends, right? But there's a lot of people that aren't really my close friends who are trying to get to my time and onto my calendar, like a lot. How many names are on my iPad list right now? People just want to connect with lunch and do something and hang out and spend an hour with me. And that sounds arrogant. That's not what I'm saying. It's just hard. It's hard to keep up with all the demands, vendors, customers, friends, other business owners. And I love those. Actually, I could do that all day. I love that. That's not my job. My job is to also run the company, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I would definitely that you hit on a really good point, that I think a lot of people get focused on the whole time management side of things, but ultimately I think an EA provides a tremendous amount of value on the energy management side of things for you as well, because ultimately you can play time Tetris all you want and figure out how to scrunch everything in there, but there's a certain connectedness that you feel with your executive that you can start to recognize of, like, hey, this person, love them, but they probably won't give you the best energy the rest of the day, or this meeting needs to have a lot of energy put into it before or after it. And so I think that there's tremendous value of understanding that it will take a little bit of time to get to that understanding with one another. Yeah. But there's a tremendous amount of value that can come from being able to understand not just the time aspects, but where is your energy going to be best? Because then also we go home and we play with our kids at night. And like we hang out with our families. And if you are just coming home every single day drained, then I'm probably doing something wrong. Yeah. I mean, we want to work hard, but we also want to be able to make sure that our energy is spent where it needs to be.
One of the things I think that we talked through, it maybe took us a little while to get there, but what does Ryan's ideal weekly schedule look like? I think that is really big, especially if you're just starting with an assistant. Really like, big. Tell me what you would prefer. Yeah. And hey, I don't want Tuesday afternoons to have anything, so that I can just do whatever I need to. There's going to be other stuff.
Actually, what we do, right?
Okay, if you still
my Tuesdays are still blocked out, Mike, right? And
a vision afternoon.
We call it vision afternoon. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Yep. So you can go to a coffee shop. You can stay in your office if it's whatever you want to do. You have that space, and preference of you don't have to think through, should I schedule lunch on Monday or Wednesday, Thursday? Like, no. Hey, typically I schedule lunches on these days of the week. Right. Maybe that's Monday or Thursday. Right. And just having the freedom so that I think that's freedom for the EA to know, like, oh, sweet. Now I know how I can schedule a calendar. Yeah. And I can say no a lot easier too, which will then help with the energy thing that you were just saying. Yeah. So
it's really good. I think Mike and I butted heads a little bit about this when he first started. I mean, in a good way. So we're being raw, right? I felt a bit like he was letting people into my world that I probably wouldn't have quite. I'm trying so hard not to be arrogant. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying things are moving so fast. My team needs me. The company needs me. I am running hard, and all of a sudden there's a lunch that popped up with some dude that I don't even know. And that was, so we had to like, did I approve that? And honestly, I probably did. And so I'm not even blaming him. We had to just agree on like, what's a for sure thumbs up? Yes, we're doing lunch with that guy, or yes, he's going to come through for a tour. Who's this guy again? He wants to sell you paint, like whatever, like that. And I'm not, and in the middle of, I mean, the sky is falling, and we have real issues that I don't want to give some dude, a tour that I don't even know. That's again, this, to our listeners, to our followers here, I again, humility first. It's all good. I love connecting with other people, and I truly love it, but that isn't always the most important thing to do. And so there's times we've had to cancel some meetings, and we just, I think we've gotten a little more in line with saying, hey, these are the couple of people that we want to get in the next couple of weeks. You've put them off once or twice. Let's get these done, and that's what we do. So, and always build great relationships with them, but you can't do that every day. There's that book called Never Eat Lunch Alone, and I would love to have it that way. And I don't often eat lunch alone, but every now and then you need some space and some margin to get stuff done. And so, which leads me to the next point here. And I think, and I'm just going to throw this out here, and you guys can let whoever wants to answer this go for it. But the term gatekeeper, I think you guys, in many ways, are the gatekeeper to my calendar, the gatekeeper to time with me, and that even includes PWI people. Okay, and so and I. Again, always want to be accessible. There's this whole thing about being an open door policy, and that's fine. But there's a time where that just doesn't work. I mean, you cannot get the work done. The mission will not move forward if just it's a free for all, and Ryan's door is wide open, and there's every guy in his, from every department coming through there and chatting about everything. It just doesn't work. I have an agreement with my executives, with my direct reports, because they work for me. They can come any time, and even they often will honor my time enough to say, "Hey, Micah, when's Ryan free tomorrow? I need an hour. I need half an hour," and we do that. I've also told them that I'm accessible. Like if I do care for I can't care for 225 employees or their problems, but I can care for my 7 for sure. And so I think we've done a good job. We've tried to do a good job of being accessible, yet you guys being the gatekeeper of my time. So talk about that a bit more. How do we do that without seeming aloof or arrogant, whatever that is, with my time, yet protecting it with phone calls, with people in the lobby wanting to meet with me? How do you all do that? What's the right way to do that? What are some things we've maybe learned from that?
I'll start here.
Go for it.
My first thought is, a lot of times the easiest one to think of is someone comes in the lobby saying, "Hey, is Ryan available?" Well, receptionist is also trained that, okay, don't just give them to Ryan, or don't just, see Micah, for example, here, and let him decide what to happen. And a lot of times that's Micah might be going down and talk with him, right? And saying, "Hey, what are you here for? What do you need? Is there something I can answer?" Like, have that type of mentality going into it, and not just, "Nope, he can't talk right now, sorry," and then shut the door. It's what are you looking to talk with him about? Like, get as much information as you possibly can and say, "Okay, now's not a really good time. He's in another meeting or prepping, whatever that looks like, but let me add this to the calendar and we'll talk about this soon." Like, people understand that, and I think that just having that attitude going into it goes a long way too.
It does.
So
It does.
Yeah, and I would, that was really good. I would say as well that one of the things that was really emphasized for my previous employer was just this idea of people, processes, and things in that order. And so, like, ultimately, when you're telling somebody no to the time request, you still ultimately need to go into that with the respect of, this is a human being who
100%
has either has a job to feed their family with whatever they're asking for, or they have a thought in their mind, or they just genuinely like the time with Ryan or with whoever at PWI. And so it's like, you respect them as a person, but ultimately we do have processes in place to be able to make sure that people are still getting their work done. And I think anybody can understand that the unannounced stop by will probably never cease to exist as long as there are door-to-door salesmen knocking on doors and doing all that. But but then you follow it up with, you know, how can we move past this of this is somebody who's wanting some time. We want to respect them, respect Ryan, respect the receptionist, do it with love, and understand that there's some circumstances where we're not right now is the best answer to that.
Mm-hmm.
Great answers. I can't really add much to that. Well said. Well said. So there's this, you know, with our values, we want to treat everybody like a human. We want to do all that, and yet we have to stay focused. We're on a crusade. We're on a mission, and there's that fine line to dance. Is there a time for me to go down and talk to a dad in the lobby whose kid's in 4-H and wants a donation? There's a time for that. Can I do that every day? Can I do that every week? No, I can't. But that's a typical request that comes in. We have, hey, there's something in the lobby here. There's, you know, and so, and many times Micah can go down. He's fantastic at treating people like humans, very much so. And saying, hey, look, Ryan's really tied up right now, but man, let me get this to him, and we can do a nice email back to them and say, hey, we'd love to support your kid or whatever. So actually our rule, total rabbit trail squirrel here, is that we don't actually sponsor 4-H stuff except for our own team members, because that's a big enough deal by itself. So for those of you who are looking to get 4-H sponsors, go somewhere else. Unless you work at PBOI, we probably won't sponsor your kid in 4-H. But employees of PBOI, we do that and love what that does for families. So that's the gatekeeper conversation, protecting the CEO's time. It's a really, really big deal.
Well, and even let's take that one step further of like, you get a call on your cell phone.
Yeah.
And it might be another executive, but you're also in a meeting right now.
Yeah.
Well, let's at least get the middle ground and have Micah answer that.
Yeah.
And say, hey, Ryan's in a meeting. What's up? I'll tell him what you want to know in this email or in this phone call as soon as he gets out of the meeting. But like being proactive and trying to even stay a step ahead and saying, okay, Trevor needs to talk with Ryan after he's done with this meeting. You already know what it's about. You can then relay that to Ryan. He has time to think about it before. Just the little things like that even can make a big difference.
And on the energy side of things, there are sometimes where that call happens from somebody is calling from within the organization, and you're like, oh no, what is this? What's burning down? Yeah. And it ends up being that it's a conversation of, dude, we just crushed this huge sale, or you won't believe what my kid did last night. I just wanted to call you up and say it. But ultimately, the executive is focused on something really important in that moment. And though they would still see that as important to be able to do that, is it worth the trade-off in that moment? And so in taking that phone call, there can be a middle ground of respecting the space that the person who you're with is receiving, but also giving balance to the next conversation that's coming.
I'm really psycho about that. I do not like, and I know I break the rule, but I do feel like there's a really, really high bar for interrupting a person sitting in my office that I'm meeting with or in a room and chasing a squirrel with a phone call. I just think that's super disrespectful. I'm pretty big on phones being upside down when you're in a meeting. And so what I'll do sometimes, the phone's ringing, I might glance at it and hand it to Micah, and he might run outside of the conference room or my office or whatever and take the call and say, hey, look, Ryan's tied up. 10 minutes, he'll be done, and I'll call you right back. You know, emergency, whatever that might be. And so I do try to honor that. I did get rid of my Apple Watch. No more Apple Watch, so I'm not distracted as much in meetings. But yeah. So one last function of an EA, and we got to keep the ball moving here. This is great conversation. This is so good. I think we're adding a lot of value to our listeners. And again, I know this is an interesting topic for a lot of people, and a lot of people can't get over that hump like I couldn't for many years. So, driver. So we're here in the Amish community, right? So the joke I always make is the Amish people have to figure out more than what we do, because they hire a driver to drive them around. The Amish business owners, and they have a driver that drives them around and go to different job sites. The contractors, the siding guys, whatever they do, they have Bob the driver that drives them around everywhere. And so we started doing that a lot as well with both of you guys. And it's been, heading to a meeting, I'm driving 45 minutes to a meeting, or Micah can drive, and I'm responding to emails and making phone calls and doing things. I mean, we literally schedule calls on drives. We just did one today. I have a call on the way back from the studio here back to the office this afternoon or at noon when I drive back for the next meeting there. There's a call scheduled between now and then. So why not? I'm driving 22 minutes. I have time. Why not call? So Mike already set that up. So fantastic. So how does that feel to you guys to be an Amish driver, right? How does that feel to you guys?
It's a real honor.
It's a real.
There is no higher honor. No, I like personally, I love driving, and so like I'm gonna do it anyways. But I think it gonna beat the horse dead. But like it's best use of your time and energy because I mean I love talking to you. We can talk about all sorts of things in the sports and the weekend and all those things, but if you can utilize that time effectively so that we can hit the ground running when we get back into the office, that's a lot of value add.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. So let's dive into the next thing. The next thing that's important to me is this myth of how do I keep an EA busy? That was a big thing that really bothered me when I started this thing. It wasn't going to help me if I had to worry about keeping you guys busy.
Right.
So I had this overshadowing concern, like, because we're on a mission, we're on a crusade, we're going somewhere, everybody works hard, we have a sense of urgency, all those things. And I don't like seeing anybody stand around. Like I'm paying a good salary. Micah makes good money. I think I treat you all right. And Trevor, I've treated you all right, whatever. I try. So I'm looking for some accolades there. No, I'm kidding. But we do pay a fair wage. I don't want Braxton, the producer, sitting around twiddling his thumbs all day, right? I want him to be producing videos and doing content, right? That's what we all work hard here. So this whole thing was like, I don't want my EA sitting there at his desk waiting for me to say, hey, would you get me a coffee? Or waiting for me to, take another phone call so we can have something to do. So it really bothered me. And so in both cases, both with Trevor when Trevor started and with Micah, we have I set up this backlog of work that's coming from another department. Okay. This might sound weird to our listeners, but in your case, it was marketing. Micah, we have some other things that you're doing, I think, helping you now with some things. So the idea is there's this grade level B or C tasks that need to be done. No rush, but it'd be nice if we would build this, if we would organize these files, if we would do this here, if we would edit some videos over, whatever those things are, that I never have to worry about keeping you all busy. It's not my problem. You guys stay busy on your own. It's probably, I don't know, 80-20. What would you guys say? 80% you're doing EA work, you're doing work with my calendar, emails, you're helping me. Maybe not even 20%.
Yeah.
How would you guys feel about that? What's that ratio?
I feel like it ultimately when you're in office, it's pretty difficult a lot of times to pull away and do some of the backlog things just because and, love you, brother, but it's you. I'm not saying you're needy, but no, it's just there's lots of in the moment things that are probably more important than a backlog list, and so
you're not bored. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not bored. I love it. Yeah, I think that there are some times when it's like, I mean, you went on a long vacation earlier this year, and so that was a great example of a time where it's like, hey, I can help out Trevor and his team and some of that stuff. Yeah. So I think it kind of ebbs and flows. Yeah. There are some moments where it's just you dig into those, but ultimately I'm reporting directly to you, and so I'm going to provide as much value there, and then the additional time I'm going to make sure that we can help as many people as we can. Yeah.
I think kind of the key to the fallback work is not urgent work.
Yes.
Because it is unpredictable. Of, hey, sorry, my boss needs me. I can't do this for a different department or whatever. Yeah. So like when I started, I had some marketing experience prior to this, so I was helping do videos and that kind of stuff. And like, that was a good fallback. And there wasn't really a big rush for getting this done. Yeah. It was just like, it needs done, but whenever works. And the current marketing department at that time didn't have capacity. So it's like, okay, great. I'm glad I can step in. Yeah. I guarantee you there's some department within your company that can use help.
Yes.
That this person could do.
Non-urgent help.
Non-urgent help.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good answer. I love that. So we don't want an idle EA. We don't want that. We don't need that. But give me an honest number. Is it less than 10% of time that needs to be burned up sometimes with non-urgent things for somebody else? Is it below 10%?
I would say like there are some times where there are the peaks of an extended vacation where it throws the anomaly. Yeah. But I would say it's a lower percentage. I'd say
10, probably not higher.
Okay. Very good.
Unless you're gone.
Yeah. Okay. Let's dive into how you all are wired. Okay. Different than me. Okay. I'm a screaming high DI, 9999 DI on the disc profile. I'm a galvanizing inventor on the working genius assessment. You guys are not that. So tell me a little bit, Trevor. I'll start with you on this one. Tell me a little bit who you are as a person on the disc profile, how you're wired, and how that's different than me.
I think it's interesting because as a company, we didn't start the disc profile assessment till after I came on board.
Probably because you helped me get it done.
Oh, that's probably true. I think
Wait a minute.
we kicked that one off. But I'm literally the exact opposite. So I am SC. My D and I aren't too high. I mean, they're Anyways, so I'm the exact opposite on the disc, and my genius is your frustration. So mine is wonder and tenacity for my genius, and you could care about that less.
Yes.
So
Couldn't care about that less.
couldn't care about that less. Yes. So it's just the perfect combination. I mean, you don't want to have to focus on the details, and I get upset if I can't focus on the details. So that is a crucial aspect, especially as you're, trying to figure out who this person is. Like,
Huge.
probably don't want to duplicate yourself.
100%. Well, I think we'll kill each other. I mean,
Yeah, you might.
which is how my brothers and I, we're wired the same. And
Yeah.
I would not want one of them to be my assistant. Of course, that would never ever work. So
Yeah.
love that. So so Micah, in that you're very similar to Trevor on the disc and working genius. When I go chase squirrels, because that's who I am. How do you handle that, Micah?
Yeah. It's really funny because like even on our around the office, every door has a plaque for the person who's in there for their name, their responsibility, and their disc and widget profile. And Ryan, 100% D and I, and then Trevor and I are both in that like 100% SC type of range. And I would say that it's because we're I don't even know what the word is, but we're wired a little bit differently. It's not that we get half as much done. It's that we each are really hyper focused on the way in which we get the job done.
Amen.
And so ultimately, because there's something inside me for whatever reason, when you strike something off a to-do list, it's like there's like this angelic choir and like applause, And I don't know what it is, but there's something satisfying in that. And the way your mind operates is if we can just keep the ideas flowing, but like, it's not that I'm wrong or you're right or vice versa. It's ultimately we get to find all the things that are out there and we can go attack those things and we can bring value to the marketplace. Like
Love it.
It's really good.
The other aspect that brings is just even before maybe you'd present something in a meeting, you have a completely different perspective that you wouldn't have thought of. So like as you're prepping and running, hey, what do you think about this? Like that's already a completely different angle. So it might change just through conversation of how you might present something in a meeting.
Between the CEO and the A.
Right.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
I think there's a balanced view of me going into a meeting or situation because maybe you were helping me figure that out or draft an email, whatever that was, or draft an agenda. That was just already a bit tweaked from just Ryan's high DI. Right. So, and if you guys don't know the disc profile, Google it. It's everywhere. We like both. We think Working Genius from Pat Lencioni is genius, literally, and the strengths of why you're good at your role, and you're in the role that God's given you. And the DI is a little more diving into the nuances of who you are as a person. So one last thing on the chasing squirrels thing is that one idea that we came up with. I don't even know if it was somebody else's idea possibly, but we came up with the idea parking lot, Ryan's idea parking lot. And what happens there is I have a new idea every, I don't know, I say 7 minutes, but probably less than that. I'm getting ideas during this podcast of things we could be doing differently. But there comes a time, and those ideas, half of them are just completely crap. They're no good. I mean, they're not good. Probably less than half. I like to say half, but because I'm going to make myself feel good, right? So, but a big chunk of them will never happen. There's a chunk of them that do. And so what Trevor started doing, what Mike is doing now, is that we're throwing those onto an idea parking lot. And we use the technology Trello. We'll talk about that towards the end here. But basically, we're just writing it down. And so it's out of my mind. I know I won't lose the idea. It's a really, really good one for right now. And tomorrow morning, there'll be 2 more. So So we'll put that down, and I'll scroll through those periodically. I just did it recently again. Scrolled through and deleted a few that I knew were junk, and moved some others to the top. I sorted them up to the top. That one there's still a good idea. We're going to do that someday. And eventually we get to it. And eventually in some meeting, sitting somewhere, like I've been thinking about that for a long time. The time is now. And so that's an important thing that we started doing. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yep.
Yeah. So honesty with each other. I call this a marriage, right? And in many ways it is. I mean, you guys are natured a lot like my wife. So that's not making that weird or creepy at all, but it is that way. My wife and I get along because they're a lot like you, and they're opposite. She's opposite of me. And so talk about that a minute. Honesty with each other. Trevor, what are some of those? Mike, and we're still pretty new. We're 8 months in. Is that close?
Yeah. Sure.
What are some of those early honest conversations? Anything come to your mind, Trevor, that we had to have between you and me? Just honesty about what was working, what's not. My bad breath. I don't know. Whatever that is.
Of note, always bring or have gum or mints on you so you can hand them to you before you go into a meeting.
Very good.
Side note.
Very, very good. Yes.
Honesty. I mean, there's a couple different ways you can approach it. For us, it was, we had very frank conversations right as I was starting of, you were going to see things that only me and my wife have seen. Maybe it's a personal banking thing. Maybe it's a social security number. Like you're going to get all of that information. I think I would encourage CEOs to go that far, even though that's a scary step, because that's where you're truly going to gain the efficiency at. But it's just the understanding of you have to trust this person that you're 100%. Hiring as your EA, and have I don't know exactly what that test looks like. For you, a name popped in the head, and it worked out well for me stepping in that role. But don't cut short on doing the due diligence of what's this person actually like.
Integrity, 100%. And I had this thought about complete integrity with you and trusting you. And I think one of the things we discussed was, again, we were talking about, one of the podcasts we shot just a week ago was my brothers and I, and how we don't kill each other, right, in the business. And so there's a lot of things you hear. I think I'll say it this way. There's a lot of things you hear that my executives don't even hear. Yeah. Micah, Trevor, both of you guys. Yeah. You're hearing, and even if it's not a disagreement between partners and I, and something that gets heated, we're wrestling through something that's difficult. There's things that you guys hear that my executives or my partners never even hear about. I'm wrestling through how to deal with this problem. Micah, you and I are dealing with things right now. We're trying to figure out how to wrestle with the org chart and twisting things around to make it work, because what got us to here isn't going to get us to there. Again, Micah, you talked about being 5 years out. I am. I'm trying to be 5 years out, and I usually am. I'm trying to see, that's not going to get us where we want to go. And that takes a lot of hey, what if? And what if we drag this guy over to here? And some of those, they just can't be released yet because I just don't know if they're real. But Micah could go cause a disaster in the company if he was like, hey, Ryan's thinking about promoting this guy over here, and Ryan's thinking about demoting Bill over here to the oh my goodness, I mean, just one mention could cause a train wreck. And I've never even worried about it with either one of you guys. Complete integrity with both of you guys. And so there is, I mean, you have an inside track to my brain, and we as CEOs, we are looking at stuff at the highest levels, and before we're even ready to share them with partners, executives at times, right? And so it's a really big deal to be honest with each other and to have that trust with each other.
Yeah, and I would definitely say that, as with a lot of the discussion that we're having today, don't expect it to be overnight. Like we've been working together, 8 or 9 months now. And I mean, I've known you longer than that, but this is, I mean, it's a somewhat intimate level that you're getting to know somebody. And so I think to the people listening, I would just give yourself the freedom to allow it to develop and not feel like it's an overnight switch on a lot of things. And on the flip side of that, it's an honor and a privilege to feel like somebody trusts you with a lot of information. And so I think the person that you hire as an EA, it should feel like a bit of an honor when you get to meet your executive's family, or like you get to know pieces of their mind. Like that's very precious information that you don't just necessarily get access to by everybody. And so I think that finding that balance with somebody who sees it as a role and a responsibility and respects that is super important.
Yeah. It's so good, Micah. Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored by what you said. That's really, really good. I think about, I told Trevor a few times, I mean, there is probably nobody at PBOI that could probably quit today and go build something on his own. You're not wired to do that probably, but you could. You have seen the inside, and again, Micah's 8 months in, you're 7 years in. You have seen like the how-to build something, right?
Yeah.
And we've almost quadrupled the company since you started, right?
Yeah.
Trevor, and you've been a big part of that. And like this, like you could do it. You could literally go do it. Don't, please. But yeah, terrible idea. You probably would fail. Okay?
I didn't hear this.
It's a terrible idea, dude.
But this idea that you've heard all those conversations, you saw what worked, you saw what didn't work, and incredible. So talk a little bit about. I have some key traits. The word is key traits. What are some key traits that make you guys successful? Obviously, you're opposite of me. I would like to throw in, and I'm curious what you think about. You can add some to this as well. But I think technology and IT skills. If I had to. All the other things are a no-brainer. Yes, you need to be good at typing and good at all this other stuff. But I would be lost without both of your tech and IT skills. Tell me about that a little bit, or do you disagree? Is there something that's more important than that? Do you guys feel like there's other things that are just equal to that in importance? What do you guys think about that?
I think I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily the sharpest tech or IT person, but I think what I do carry is the ability to be able to have ownership of that so that you don't have to. Like ultimately, I think that's where it comes down to is what are the skills and the aptitudes that can be owned by somebody who's not the executive. So like on the tech side of things, we're really trying to embrace AI and some of the benefits of that. And so sometimes it's deciding what is this project that I can see what Claude can do with that, or figuring out ways that we can streamline processes. And ultimately, there are some times where you try something and it doesn't quite turn out the way that you'd like. But on the skills side of things, I think definitely tech and allowing your space not to be your headspace to be really devolved with now which button do I need to click when you're thinking on the big presentation. But I would say I'm a firm believer of it's people first. And so having the skills and the aptitude to be able to sit with somebody in a space, and sometimes it's in a guarding for your executive's time to be able to let them speak to you and feel like they can trust you, but also understand that it's a fine line between they know that as an EA, I do have the ear of a lot of people who make big decisions. And so there needs to be a weight and a responsibility to not make so that if somebody's talking to me, they know that it's gospel, that XYZ will happen. But on the same hand, everybody deserves space and an honor to be able to feel like they're loved and appreciated. And so I say an EA really needs to have really strong people skills. And in a world that is becoming very connected in certain ways and disconnected in a lot of
100%.
ways, you really need people who are willing to be with other people and be there to hold their shoulder and say, hey, I heard about this thing that happened, and how can we as a team come around you? How are ways that, what are things in your job that you feel like are better opportunities that, we as an organization can look into and be those ears, but also be willing to sit with somebody and give them space.
So you triggered something really good there. That's really good stuff, man. I think the tech skills and everything you said was gold. I think I chased another squirrel here because of what you brought up here, and that's the idea that I do think the people skills, that's a great skill that I didn't mention. It's very, very important, and I think Trevor learned this early on, and I was a little bit worried, Trevor, that people would like, who's this kid walking around with Ryan everywhere, and like whoever he is, and I don't know who this Trevor kid is, but he's not Ryan. I ain't doing what he's saying, and I'm telling you, like I don't even know. I think I did make an announcement about it, but you carried my weight wherever you went. I sent you on a lot of missions to go find fact finding, setting up meetings, like urgent, and people dropped things for you at the exact same level as me. I felt like they always knew that it was you were there for the sake of Ryan, and if Ryan was calling an emergency meeting, it probably was not wasting my time.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If Ryan was asking for how we're shipping this product because there's a problem, they would drop what they're doing and help you because they knew it was important that day to get that answer, right? So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think
how'd that feel to you?
my first thought is I think that PWI has a really special culture that makes that easy to do.
Sure.
So I've always wondered, like, at a different, company that maybe doesn't put as much effort into culture that we do, how does that actually work?
Yeah.
I think that's a lot harder. I think it could still be done. Might take more effort and work to get there. But that's something that I think you communicated well, especially to your direct reports, like as I was starting, saying, hey, listen to Trevor when he comes. He's not just saying whatever Trevor wants. Yeah. It's always, Ryan inspired.
on behalf of Ryan. That's
Right.
what we said.
Right. On behalf of Ryan. So communicating that up front to, I would say, first of all, good conversations with your direct reports, but then also company-wide or department-wide, whatever the situation looks like, is crucial so that everyone knows, hey, in my case, it's not just a 19-year-old kid following me around who doesn't know anything, even though I might not have known anything at the time. But, I'm here to come on behalf of Ryan.
Yeah.
So
And that worked great.
Yeah.
Trevor, keep going through for a minute. Tell me what brings you the most satisfaction when you started. Like, what brings you satisfaction as an EA? And Micah, you're on cue there for that as well. What at the end of the day, man, you go home, you're like you're holding your little baby girl, and you're like, whew, that was a good day. What is that?
the fact that it wasn't like the day before.
Oh,
Like,
explain that.
I doing something right.
I like that my calendar is, just here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's not the same monotonous thing every day.
Okay.
And some days it's managing a construction project. Some days it is creating Word documents. Some days it is talking with people and trying to organize, a couple different things for upcoming meeting.
Yeah.
Like the fact that it always changes and it's something new to learn,
Yeah.
I would say would be the thing that gives me the most
I'm glad
satisfaction.
because
There's a lot of that. Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
Micah, do you feel the same way, or do you struggle with that?
So similar but different, I would say. Like I think, like for a long time, I asked myself of this EA thing, is this just a stop on the way, or is this something that I'm building somewhat of a career with? And quite honestly, I turned it down for a long time, thinking that it was just a stop on the way. And a lot of it came down to me believing that ultimately the only way forward in my career is to then manage people, or to manage and be a leader by title. And I found pretty early on that that's not necessarily the way I'm completely wired. And I really struggled with that for a long time, but I came back around to the idea of, but man, it feels like this is a really great opportunity to be able to serve people. And my heart has really centered on the idea of, I love supporting people. Yeah. I love being able to come alongside somebody and be behind them, making them look better and do better work. But I ultimately don't need the responsibility of being the person who's leading the whole thing. And so I've personally, it's worked well with my desires to be able to come alongside and support versus be at the forefront.
I think what you're saying, man, is that it's become your calling. That's what you're saying. I mean, I think you just might have been called by God to do this role, and you're in your second one like it, and hopefully there's a long career ahead of you for that as well here. So I'm excited about that. So talk briefly as we wrap here, guys, best tools that we've used Trevor, I'll go to you on this. As we were diving into this, I know Micah actually, and you talked about this when you started. Some tools that you've used. I know Trello is one of them. There's a couple others that talk about Trello for a minute, how that works, and maybe a few others.
Sure. Trello actually, I think, came from Micah in our original meeting.
Oh, really?
7-8 years ago, whatever that was. So yeah, that's a good one. Basically, for managing lists. You could use that for to-do lists. You could use that for, here's our project. Here's the steps that we need to take in order to complete that project. That's where we also use the parking lot that you described earlier. Of Ryan says, hey, what if we made this machine more efficient by buying this apparatus, whatever it is? Okay, put that in the parking lot.
It does really well with images as well.
Yeah,
so
you can throw an
I
image.
love pictures. I'm a kid, so you can organize it with photos. I can just see instantly that machine, that building project, that dream I have, whatever that is. I can scroll through that with just photos and see instantly. Oh yeah, that it triggers other good ideas.
Yeah, there's a good where do you put? You come across a good LinkedIn post, or you come across a link somewhere that you want to save. That's a place that we've used Trello for. Just like throw it in there, forget about it, and you'll come across it someday when you need it. Besides Trello, let's see here. I would just take the standpoint of I don't think that I did a great job of keeping my personal desktop organized when I was an assistant, because everything was everywhere.
Yeah.
So I would encourage just the standpoint of file organization.
Yeah.
So that Micah knows, okay, it's about this topic. Here's the folder. Like, create a folder structure that you can find things quickly.
Yeah.
Even on your personal, device. I think that's crucial. AI and connecting, Copilot into Microsoft tools now helps with finding emails, that kind of stuff.
Sure.
A lot of even just finding email searches, just like that was my best friend too.
Oh yeah.
Of, going back, what did Ryan say in 2021 when he was talking with this person?
I could never find an email. Yeah. Right.
Just being able to pull up that kind of stuff quickly.
Obviously the starring emails, which is what Mike is doing now, is a great tool. I mean, it's not that fancy, but we just the idea that I'm staying in a sorted inbox is what I live in, and that's a great tool to use.
Yeah.
And I would also say that on the flip side of that, for you did a really good job on the whole file organization side of things, because
server and that kind of stuff.
That was something that I stepped in and I felt like a lot of the framework was already in place. So kudos to you.
Yeah. So let's clarify what's going on with inboxes, though. I mean, so both Trevor and Micah, they have two inboxes open. Trevor, you don't really anymore, but I mean, I'm saying in your role as an EA, you both had two inboxes open. You had Micah's open, and you have Ryan's open, and so Micah's seeing all my emails. He's seeing his own emails, and he's able to start drafts, send responses as needed. But we have this rule. We started the rule with you. I want to be authentic. I don't ever want, the rule is very simple. We don't ever send an email on behalf of Ryan that I haven't at least read first. Okay. And so Micah will often respond to an email from my inbox as Micah. So Micah can go into my inbox, respond as Micah, and just say, hey, this is Micah, I'm Ryan's assistant. He's actually unavailable this week, but I'd love to, to connect with you some other time, but I'll call you back in June for something on the calendar. That's totally fine. But when you say, hey, great to meet you, this is Ryan, I'd love to hang out with you sometime, let's do dinner sometime, and whatever that is, and I have no idea it ever got sent, that felt very unauthentic to me.
Yeah.
So that's just been our rule. Now, Micah will, and Trevor, you do the same thing, will draft a ton of emails. He'll draft a response, 2 paragraphs, whatever that is. This is what we're thinking. And then Micah will throw it up on his screen. By the way, we got a screen in our office there's just little things that helps you guys understand how we do it. And how we do it is there's a screen mirror on the wall that mirrors Micah's screen or my assistant's screen. So I can glance up from my desk, my workspace, glance up, and I can see what's on his screen. You say, what do you think, Ryan? And he'll read through it, and I'll go like, nah, that's not even true. I don't want to do that. Or no, I would not say that. Let's not do that. But I will say that. And boop, sent, it's gone. And in about 90 seconds, I did a 10-minute job or a 9-minute job, whatever that is. So that's very, very helpful.
2 other tools, we've used Lucid Chart for org chart software.
Oh my.
And then also
So good.
done a little bit of Whimsical. Basically, that is a diagram software. So you can create a chart, create a process flow.
Yeah.
That kind of thing is useful in the EA role as well.
Which is what we're doing a lot. again, we're looking at 2 years out, 5 years out, 10 years out. We're saying, what does that have to look like? And so we're ahead. I argue that I know a lot of people think that HR is the org chart owner, and head of HR should be running the org chart. Not in our world, it's not. I mean, the HR guys, doing well with culture and hiring people and all that, but we're thinking at least not the he might own the current org chart as it is today, make some shifts so the titles are all up to date. That's great. That's not what we're doing. We're looking out ahead 3 years, 2 years, 9 months, and saying, what would happen if we would shift this guy into this role? We do a new hire over here, and what if we put this over here? And what if we color these titles or these roles in this way to make clarification?
Yeah.
What if we would call all these guys directors, and we would call all these guys managers, whatever? We're just looking at that stuff all the time, right? I don't know, or Trevor, that in the 7 years since you started, their org chart has stayed the same for a month. I don't
know.
I don't know that that's a stretch. 7 years, every month, something. Not saying we updated that often. We might have, but by the time we got back to it a month later, it had already changed, and that's not even really right. And so that doesn't happen for every company. It happens when you're growing at the rate that we have. So it's a lot. So wrapping us up here today, guys. We're sitting here with my past EA and my current one. Okay, so back a year and a half ago, I saw this need for a chief of staff, and Trevor was my current EA. We were wrestling through what that looks like. There's a lot of things here. I'm slamming the typical visionary CEOs. We're terrible at details. I hate the word processes and procedures and policies, the P words. I hate them all. I don't want to mess with it. I'm terrible at them, and I'm forced to. We're forced to wrestle through those things, but I don't like them. And so those were the glaring weaknesses at PWI, clearly. And so there's a lot of things that were falling through the cracks as we grew. And so I felt like really wrestled with what this title was. What would it look like to have a role over here that fills into my weaknesses and my weak spots? So I ended up on chief of staff, and Trevor and I read some books about that. We wrestled through what that is. We considered COO, different ideas there. At the end of the day, we landed on chief of staff, and I promoted Trevor to chief of staff in February of 25. Am I close?
Yep.
Man, I remember.
Good work.
My mind worked today. No squirrels in there running around, so that's good. So then I'm on this hunt. Okay, so here's the story. I'm on this hunt for a new EA. I'm like, well, Trevor, I need you. I'm like, so what am I gonna do? So Trevor kind of agreed to kind of do some both roles there for a while, and we went on this hunt for a new EA. I interviewed, I think 3. Number of different people applied, but I interviewed, and that's a thing. I didn't know if I really even wanted to put, an ad out there for my EA. I felt like it had to be a God thing. It felt like it had to be a, hand of God saying, Trevor's your guy, like what happened in 2019 when you started. And I was waiting for that moment to happen. It didn't happen, and kept praying through that. And somehow in the summer of 25, after you were ready chief of staff and kind of doing both roles for me, I got a phone call, and the phone call was from Micah's boss, Len, who's a friend of mine. He said, hey, and I don't know that Len knew anything about our opening, because I don't think we had it posted anywhere.
No, it wasn't posted.
So you talk about a God thing. I mean, again, twice. You guys are like 2 for 2 here. So just seriously, I want to encourage our listeners, pray if you're a faith-based person. Pray about the roles that are in your company. Pray for them, and God does care about what you're doing every day. God does. He's in those details. And so I had interviewed the third person. I had my guy picked out who I thought would be probably the best. I wasn't tickled about it. I didn't know him at all, and I just felt like he was okay, And so just about ready to make an offer to this person, and the phone rings, and Len calls me and said, "Hey, Ryan, things are changing over at my company. I'm stepping down from my role, and I don't need my EA anymore, man. You're the first person I thought of, and I'm wondering if there's a role there for him." Now, again, he had no idea that Trevor had erased. I mean, talk about God stuff, right? He had no idea that Trevor had even stepped back. I said, "Micah, Trevor, oh my goodness, Len, you're kidding me." And Len goes, "No, I'm serious. Why do you say that?" I said, "Well, Trevor has already stepped down. I'm ready to hire an EA right now. And so tell me about Micah. Am I stealing him from you? Like why are you calling me?" And so he explained his story, and I mean, the rest is history. I mean, it didn't take more than a few weeks, and we hired Micah. I think you filled out an extra month or something for Len after that, and, till Labor Day of 25, whatever that was. And Micah came on board. Trevor's now chief of staff, and man, the rest is history. Tell us a bit. I mentioned chief of staff a few times. Tell us just briefly what chief of staff, what you do in your role today now. So, and how that maybe, who else better to be chief of staff than a person who sat in my office for 7 years, right? So tell me a little bit about your new role.
Sure. So I have a couple direct reports on top of some of the other processes and that kind of stuff you just talked about. I'll hit that in a second. But so I oversee IT, our IT department, our software department, and our facilities and maintenance. So the way I think of it is anything that supports, the rest of PWI flows up through me. And, we're doing things that affect sales. We're doing things that affect production, building buildings, and that kind of stuff. That all of that filters through me, which is a good direct connection, which also requires some vision of, hey, where are we going? I have a direct connection with you. Where's your head at? And I can, lead and decipher what we should be working on through that. So those are the three departments that I had. Also, some of those were taking off of your plate, direct reports.
100%.
So it was a good move of consolidating how many people you had reporting to you. And then also, in addition to that, this is kind of the wild card and something that we're still trying to figure out what it looks like. But anything else that I need to do as chief of staff. Some of that is, hey, there's a process that's broken. And how does this email group make sense for the company? And should these people be in it? Should these people not be in it? When does it get sent? Like, who else is going to do that when you have a growing company? You have leaders that are super busy just with their day-to-day trying to stay and survive, what's happening. You can't go beyond that without major burnout happening. So giving some of that kind of stuff over to me to help facilitate. It's not necessarily me making every single decision, but it needs to get done, and I'm the one helping push that to the finish line. Yeah,
you're filling in the roles that affect all departments in most cases. HR is the one that you don't have underneath you at this point, and I think that's fine and good. But that's under the CFO currently. But people ask about that a lot. But most of the other things that affect all things company-wide are under Trevor, and I'm kept out of those P words that I don't like, right? So, guys, it's been a pleasure to talk to you guys today. Great conversation. I think we've added a lot of value to our listeners, and if you guys have questions about this when you're watching this, drop some comments in, and we'd love to dialogue about this. I'm sure Trevor and Micah could do that as well, and drop in and help however we can. If we can help you forward your business the way this has helped us, we'd love to do that. So business owners, CEOs, presidents, if you want to discipline yourself, if you want to double your capacity, hire an EA. Delegate. Let go of the details. Double your efficiency. Time is the most precious commodity in the world, okay? And we've learned that. Time is everything. And so these guys sitting here with me have helped me double and multiply my time. Hire an EA. Do it today. Thanks for joining us today on The Forge.